Welcome back to another video, everyone. I'm Amy. In this video, I'll be talking about 3 things that I learned about fear this year. Hi there, everyone. Nice to see you. So it's Halloween today. Actually, I thought of this topic in the car earlier, and then I realized it's so appropriate because it's Halloween. My son has bought me a Halloween special Halloween figure here. Got a skeleton holding Namaste. This guy is waiting for his life to change while in a fear state. But seriously, actually, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, my throat's a little bit hoarse. In the car earlier, I was singing with my son. The Greatest Showman came on, and we were both just, going for it. Like, really going for it. Like, neither of us cared, because it's just me and him. Like, what we sounded like, whether we were hitting the notes or not, we were just belting it out, letting all that power come out, and just really enjoying ourselves and having fun. And I know a lot of people do this. You do this, right? In the car when no one can see you, no one can hear you. You're going for it. I see you at the traffic lights. Just everyone's in their car, just singing. No one cares. There's no fear, right? So you're allowing yourself to express because you're not in that fear state. What might people think about me? I just had a thought. Maybe I'll just sing right now in front of the camera. Ready? No. I'm aware that my fear is holding me back here. My fear of what will you think about my voice? What if they think I sound stupid? I'm not hitting the notes, I'm a bad singer. So what's the difference? My son and I just having a great time in the car, just expressing ourselves, just all this energy coming out and being channeled positively. Versus now. See, this is the thing about fear. Okay, this is just like our friend, skeleton there. Why is it that it's so difficult to make significant changes in our lives when we are in that fear state? What's going on? Well, just as we saw in the car, when we're not in fear, we have an idea, we want to express, we have creativity, we have inspiration, and we just let it out. We don't hold back. We're able to channel our energy with power, with passion, with drive. We're saying, I want to do this, and I'm going to apply my energy now and do it. But with fear, that creativity, that inspiration, the fear response is saying no. No, don't do it. Have you ever had that idea, like you just had this great idea? I'm going to do this, and all of a sudden you feel there's a passion about it. I'm going to do this, I feel really good about this. I would love to do this. I don't know, maybe learn to sing. Sing in public. Maybe go skydiving. Maybe make a YouTube video. And you just feel like, for a moment, so excited about it. And then the fear sets in. And you talk yourself out of it. See, if we can just avoid getting into that fear state, just imagine the things that you would do with your life. Just imagine. Allow yourself to daydream. What if there was no fear? How would I live my life? What would I do? I know that for me this year, I was able to completely change my life. And I had a ton of fear about it. It may seem as if I just, rode through it with all this confidence and power. I'm going to do this. I'm going to kick ass. Everything's going to be great. No. So much fear, so much doubt, so much anxiety. but I did it anyway. I felt the fear, but I did it anyway. We're hearing this phrase a lot right now. I made a conscious choice as to whether or not I allowed this fear to dictate what I did. So what are these 3 things that I learned about fear this year? Because it's been amplified more than ever. We've seen this with the virus, the pandemic, lockdown. Well, the first thing that I realized was that fear is incredibly contagious. Like, we're seeing that again now. We just had the announcement in England that we're going into lockdown again. But even before that announcement, even when we sort of had that, the cases are going up, maybe we're going to go in lockdown. Guess what happened? No toilet paper in the shops again. This panic buying thing was so contagious. It's so contagious, right? The first time around, massively so, because I, refusing, I'm not going to live my life in fear. I'm not going to panic buy. I'm watching like everyone else can do it. They can stock up on the toilet paper. They can live in fear of having no toilet paper. And by the way, who was that first person who had that idea that toilet paper and baked beans, if you're not from the UK, baked beans are like pinto beans. Who had this idea that we're going to run out of toilet paper and baked beans? Who was that first person? Who were you? I want to know. Because what happened is that they bought all the toilet paper and the baked beans, or a few people did, and then other people started to look at what they were doing and, oh, hang on, maybe they've got a point. And they started to anticipate, because fear helps us evolutionarily to anticipate danger. No toilet paper. I'm being serious, but this was so funny. Anticipating, oh, but what if they're right? What if we run out of toilet paper, so I better stock up? Okay? And then other people are doing it, and it spread to the point where there was no toilet paper anywhere. And then, even me, with all of my defiance, saying, no, I will not live in fear, was like, hang on, crap. I better stock up on toilet paper, because now I'm afraid I will have no toilet paper because of all of this panic buying. So it just spread, right? So contagious. It spread like wildfire. And we didn't learn from that. Actually, now it's even more amplified this second time around, because now I'm convinced that the reason people started panic buying toilet paper again was in anticipation of panic buying. So now they're panic buying ahead of the panic buyers. See how funny and like crazy and vicious a cycle this is? Fear is incredibly contagious, because it triggers something deep within us, right? Which is really the basis of where fear comes from. That protective instinct that we need to survive and have toilet paper, but essentially survive and be okay and have the things that we need. It triggers that within us. As adults, we are responsible for making sure that we have the things that we need, that our family and friends and those we love have the things that they need as well. So we're always anticipating, and there is that level to it. So the second thing that I learned was that fear is neither good nor bad. Okay, and this took me a while to learn, because I was there all defiant, going, fear. I laugh in the face of fear. Fear is bad. Fear is unhealthy. You're all wrong for acting out of fear. I still haven't forgiven them about the toilet paper. That keeps coming into my mind. But I was in that place of judging other people for their fear, and then I took a look at it from an evolutionary perspective, as I'm a scientist and I really love relating things to science. So we've got to be humble, and we've got to allow for the possibility that I'm wrong. And yeah, fear has its place in the world. Fear is coming from a protective mechanism. Your inner rescuer, wants to make sure that you're okay, that you have what you need to survive. And that's a nice thing. We should say, when we see this fear, no toilet paper maybe. When we see this fear, right? But let's relate it to the virus and get serious for a second. We see this virus, okay? We hear that it's killing people, and it has. And our mechanism within to protect us is saying, hang on, are we okay? Are we in danger? Is there a possibility that my life could be in danger here? And that's really, really, a nice thing. We should say thank you to our fear. Thank you for trying to protect me. If we don't have fear of things that can kill us, we won't make any attempt to survive. This is a positive force. It comes from a place of love and care for ourselves and those around us, this fear. So we say, thank you. If I don't have fear of the giant bear, I'm not going to run from it and try and protect myself and my family. So thank you to my fear. But then we look at it from the other side, because it's neither good nor bad. There's just different angles that we can look at it. What are the harmful effects of fear? Well, as we found, fear is a protective survival mechanism. It's there to help us in those times where our life is genuinely possibly in danger. Like the dog next door is currently barking because there's fireworks going off and this dog is afraid. Loud bangs. Maybe he is not safe. Maybe his family is not safe and he needs to tell someone, he needs to bark. This is coming from that protective mechanism. But if you notice with animals, and also yourselves, like a bit earlier I was walking to my car and a huge firework just went boom right in front of my face, and I just, I ducked in that moment, and I felt that adrenaline and cortisol just be dumped out into my system, because in that moment, literally all I was focused on was, am I okay? Survival. Fear is a survival mechanism. It's not supposed to be a way of life. Because if you watch an animal get a shock, me and the firework earlier, I was kind of like that. They shock, and then right back to what they were doing. The cat's licking itself again, the dog's wagging its tail, and everything's okay, right? Passes. The system calms down again. That fight or flight response calms back down. It's not supposed to be a sustained way of life, because these hormones have a very strong effect on the body. Adrenaline and cortisol. They affect your heart rate, your circulation, your digestion. So it can speed up people's digestion or slow it down. It also affects your immune system. At least initially, it's suppressing it. Why is it doing these things? Because it's focused on survival, and these other things, these secondary things, digestion, immune system, are not what is needed right now in this moment to survive. What is needed in this moment to survive is to be ready to fight with our muscles, with all that adrenaline, or run. So literally the most basic survival mechanisms in your body are prioritized in that point, and everything else will be shut down, slowed down. So this is why we see when people live in fear for sustained periods of time, or when they're very stressed, because stress also triggers this response, they start to have physiological effects from this: digestional problems, pain, circulatory problems, things like this. Immunosuppression. It's not supposed to be a way of life. It's purely a survival mechanism. Okay, so we've looked at these both sides. Neither good nor bad, right? I'm not going to stand here anymore and say to you, I have no right to say to you, you are wrong for being afraid of coronavirus. You are wrong. You are wrong for panic buying toilet paper. No, because it comes from a survival mechanism. It's not wrong. It's not good or it's not bad. So this brings me to point 3. The third thing I learned about fear is that when I'm conscious of my fears, I have a choice. I have a choice. I am empowered to make the choice as to whether or not I want to live in fear. So, if my survival, my immediate survival right now in this second, not what I'm anticipating may possibly have in the future, if my immediate survival is okay right now, guaranteed right now I have a choice. No fireworks going off like crazy or anything like that. No bears standing in front of me. So I feel fear because my body is trying to anticipate danger. Now I get to choose whether I let this dictate my life, my behavior, whether I let this overwhelm me and control me. I have a choice. You have a choice. Now, when we know that we have this choice, we need to take it's wrong to live in fear, it's right to live a free life with no fear out of it. What do you want to do? How do you want to live your life? Because I know that I spent probably most of my life living in fear, but particularly the last 6 years or so, living in intense fear for my own survival, physical survival, anticipating the next attack that might happen, needing to protect my son and myself. And then that carried on, even when the danger passed, and I was just waiting for the next emotional attack. My body was still in that fight or flight, waiting. Is something going to happen? Is something going to happen? And it really floored me, to say the least. So, myself, I choose not to live in fear. I will not fear coronavirus. You can't make me fear coronavirus. I can't make you fear it or not fear it. It is your choice. You are empowered. You are conscious and aware. You're not a dog responding to fireworks. You are aware and you have a choice. Now, this is not to say that we don't follow the guidelines. I follow the guidelines. I'm grateful that there are people who are making the conscious choice to fear this, to anticipate this, to create these guidelines, to try and help keep us safe, to try and help get us through this and back to a normal way of life. I'm so, so grateful for those people, but it is not my choice to live that way. I follow the guidelines, but I will not feel fear. I have not felt fear of this virus for this entire pandemic. I feared lockdown like crazy when that metaphorical walls came closing in on me. I was terrified. How am I going to get through this? I'm barely coping mentally as it is. And now I have none of the things that were distracting me or making me feel good. That was terrifying. So I'm not saying that I did not feel fear. But I choose not to fear this virus. I get a choice. I can respond to the information that I'm presented with about it. I can make steps to make sure in every moment, am I safe? Am I at threat? Is my son safe? Is he at threat? Is my mum safe? Is she at threat from this? Okay? But that's not living in fear. That's dealing with the survival aspect of it and then moving on. But it's important that you know that whether or not you feel fear for this virus, this is really important. So important that there's fireworks going off right now. Whether or not you feel intense fear about coronavirus or not will not change whether or not you get this virus. Your level of fear about coronavirus will not ultimately change the fact that you do or do not get it. Because I know people who have been terrified the entire time. Terrified. and hiding and sheltered and isolating, and they still got the virus. I know people like myself who've not cared at all and been like defiant, I will not, wear the mask and everything, and they've got it. I know people who've been in the middle and not cared either way, just got on with it and they've got it. And it really does not differentiate between fear or no fear. Okay, what's going to happen is going to happen. But how do you want to live your life in this moment? Do you want to live in fear? If so, fine. Your choice. Just own your choice consciously. You're not a victim, remember? You are not a victim of coronavirus. Take responsibility. I am choosing to fear this virus because I believe that will help my survival. Or I choose to respond to the guidelines, do what I need to do to keep safe, but I won't feel fear. It's your choice. Neither is good nor bad. I will not tell you that what you're doing is right or wrong, but I know what I want to do and I know how I want to live my life. Now, the really interesting thing that we've seen with this toilet paper situation is that there are times, not always, but sometimes, when we fear something and we try to stop it from happening. And then it ends up happening. If we look at the toilet paper, that first person, whoever you are, I know you're out there, who said toilet paper's going to run out. Look what we manifested. Because you had that fear, because of the panic buying that was instigated, that knock-on effect, we manifested no toilet paper. Just be aware of that. It's going to happen or not happen, whether or not you fear it. So how do you want to live in the moment? Just come back. I'm not just talking about toilet paper and coronavirus. I'm talking about everything. Financial fears were amplified this year. Relationship fears were amplified this year. Fears of being alone were amplified this year. All of our fears. We had to confront them. So I want to ask you again, if this were a daydream, if there were no fear in your life, how would you live your life? So you can make the choice today. It's simply your choice to make in the moment. Live in fear and remain in lockdown, mentally, physically, emotionally in lockdown, unable to make the steps that you want to change your life, or not live in fear. We think for a moment, I don't know which country you're in, but in our country we're going into a second lockdown. I look at this as great. The first time that lockdown happened, I was like, shit. But now I'm like, great. Because I learned so much about myself in lockdown. And now I've got a second chance to learn more. So let's ask ourselves, what can we learn this time around? Let's look at this. Let's face this head on. Let's not fear this second lockdown. Instead, let's empower ourselves. What can we learn? How can we improve ourselves? How can we let go of more of our belief systems, emotional patterns, thought patterns that have been holding us back? Great. I've got another chance at this. I've got another chance to look in the mirror, figure out what's been holding me back, figure out what's been tripping me up, let it go and be empowered. How amazing is that? We've got a second chance to break free. Emotionally, mentally, break free, physically break free and change our lives. We've got a second chance at this, whether or not we go into lockdown. Doesn't matter. You can break free now. Got a second chance to learn. Not to panic buy the toilet paper. That's one thing. Reflect today. If this were a daydream, if there was no fear, how would you live your life? So, happy Halloween. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be making regular videos like this to empower you, help you to live the life that you truly deserve, that you truly want in that daydream. Have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll see you in the next video. Lots of love.